This is Create the Next from ProCFO Partners, where every week we explore strategies and ideas for financial management and growth to help today's businesses put their financial picture in context.
Welcome back to Create the Next. I'm Chris Mintliff. Haleh Fardi is back with us. I feel like this is very special, Haleh. I've gotten to talk to you twice in like a month or something, and that's outstanding for me. I always enjoy our conversations. I always enjoy hearing what you are thinking and learning what you are teaching. And today, I think we're having an interesting conversation a little bit about ProCFO Partners. And you shared this phrase with me that was new to me, maybe not new to others, but I'm interested in knowing more about it, which is thinking of ProCFO Partners as a thought collective. So welcome, as always, and let's start by just helping me understand, what do you mean? What is a thought collective?
This is always, the reason we're meeting twice is because I've arranged for it. How about that?
Well done. I like it. Your calendar arrangements are on point for me.
Yes. I want to speak more with Chris. So thank you. What is a thought collective? When we talk in the market, and we're having conversations, people always say, ProCFO Partners is different from the other fractional CFO companies, even though we shouldn't be, or they shouldn't be, right? And that's not that they are worse or better, we're just different. So people asked us, can you talk about that and say, what is it that people are seeing, or what is the feedback that you're getting that makes you different? And there's really three uniques that we have that are truly unique to the firm that Nelson and I wanted to create. And we had this in mind from the beginning. How do we do this better? How do we become a company CFO, but part-time, and yet fully committed to taking them to the next level? How do we do it better? And one of the few things that we were very clear on from the beginning was that we wanted to build a firm of CFOs that were experts, and we wanted to tap into that expertise for every single one of our engagements. So you don't just get one doctor, you get the whole knowledge in a medical building, for example, the whole knowledge base. And that's why those medical buildings were created, because those doctors actually work as an expertive collective. If you go at this, like the practice groups, because you can't just go to one doctor anymore. And last week we were talking about the difference between a CFO and a controller and being strategic. But CFOs as a title itself can be meaningless because you have to look at the outcome of the work that the CFO does. And the reason I compare it to a doctor, you can no longer go to an orthopedic surgeon if you need brain surgery, where before one surgeon did everything, and the CFO is the same. So why are we a thought collective? Nelson and I ensured that whenever we had one engagement, we could tap into the knowledge base of everyone. And all of the CFOs who joined us signed up for that.
Help me understand that a little bit more. When you say every CFO that joined us signed up for that, so there's a team of CFOs, and 10,000 foot look, and there's confusion sometimes. Well, so you're a placement agency? No. We line you straight up with the talent that is going to be the most productive for your particular skill sets. But then there's this diversity of genius around that person, where if this pops up or that question comes up, or I'm in this industry, or we've had this, I can go and sort of tap the expertise of the colleague around me, or the group of colleagues around me. How does that work, like technically? Like, how am I, as I come on board, am I encouraged to sort of get to know the rest of my colleagues in a way where I know who to resource, or how do I come to an arrival on practicing the idea of the thought collective, and not just identifying that, they tell me it's a thought collective?
Thank you. I will take one step back, because I'm looking at the perspective of the CFOs who are joining us. CFOs join us for three main reasons. One of the reasons, they want a platform to work. They miss having the company and the infrastructure. The second reason is the financial flywheel, which is our framework for financial management and growth, is what they've done their whole careers. And they know it, but now they have a way to communicate it and manage we can accelerate value that we bring into the organizations, because we have this framework that we work within that helps us identify gaps. So that really resonates with them. And then the third thing is, being the solopreneur is lonely. So originally they come because they're missing the team and seeing the impact of their work and having that communication. When we are working with them to have them join and become a ProCFO Partners, we actually share our core values, and one of them is collaborations. One of them is striving for excellence. One of them is continuing to educate ourselves and being the best in the field. And we tell them the vehicle which we do it is the Thought Collective. So they get a team, they get access to network, they get access to industry knowledge base. And we also speak with them that this is an invitation model, and we select people who are about the passion of financial strategy, want to share that passion, want to see the results of implementing it. And so we talk to them early on. So that's when I say they sign up for it and we share with them. How do they do it? We actually set up in our platform weekly peer reviews and triads. We set up monthly triads where 3 CFOs in a rotation get to speak with each other and talk about their projects and their lives and whatnot, but a lot about clients and challenges in banking and challenges in industries and challenges with staffing when it was the great resignation. Challenge EIDL best practices, which EIDL providers are the best providers, right? So going outside of our network. So we have weekly regional meetings, we have monthly triads, we have quarterly workshops. And the best part of it is our platform of an email comes from one CFO says, I'm looking for asset-based lending, and 3 CFOs reach out with contacts, best practices, what to look out for. And that's how we do it. So we've actually built an organization around it.
Okay, so that's fantastic. And let's use that sort of illustration that you just said. I'm looking for, what was it? Lending?
Yes, it's called asset-based lending.
Asset-based lending. So help me understand the benefit, which seems obvious, but I'd love to know, and I don't mean to like put you on the spot, but some kind of story or some kind of example from a client where working with our CFO, we thought we were getting X or Y or Z, but then it turned out we got A, B, and C, D, and E, and F, and G. Like, how did that make an impact when this CFO was able to reach out on behalf of their engagement and get all this insight, this sort of shared knowledge that then they were able to execute? How does that make an impact on clients?
Oh, absolutely. So we had a client who was doing something very innovative, some offshore investment money to bring in and create senior centers. At first, it was storage facilities and senior centers in the Pacific Northwest. And the CFO the reason they worked with us is the CFO that joined them was very good at financial modeling and forecasting for investment purposes. So this is the vision. Let's create some, sensitivity around forecasting. What if this happens? What if that happens? How fast can we grow infusion of capital? Where does it get spent? Modeling and forecasting. So they're having a lot of trouble with, on the other side, the offshore side of raising the funds. And they called us, and the CFO's like, I can model what they tell me. I cannot, we don't know what's happening offshore. So we had that conversation and we said, okay, let's get our brain trust together. And we got 4 of our other CFOs joined. And this is not, we don't build a client for this. This is truly, we are a thought collective. They did it. We opened up their schedules. They all picked the times that they work. And we had 4 of us, including me, so 5 of us total, sitting on a call with the client. One of the CFOs has done international expansions and had worked with international investors. The other CFO was Chase Morgan Stanley and knew how to do funding and structuring of deals. The third CFO had worked in actually the industry and said, okay, these are the industry challenges that you may have. And the fourth CFO was their CFO. We call it principal CFO on the engagement. And then me. And the 5 of us sat there and they had access to that knowledge base to restructure their presentation and actually decided to go offshore and stay there for 3-4 months instead of the travel that they were doing, to build the relationships, develop the banking relationships, understand the market, And so it was a little bit of shift in how they were working. And that's one of the ways that the collective can work.
In marketing, we talk about pain relievers, which that's the obvious thing. I'm struggling with something, I need something. And I think a lot of organizations come to fractional CFO, ProCFO Partners thinking about those things. Well, I can't really afford, but I'd really love, or I need some expertise here. But then there's a thing called a gain creator, which is what? I did not expect that. Like, this is the delight. This is the thing that sharpens the blade on a brand. And it's really interesting for your clients to feel like, hold on, what? Like, I did not expect to get 5 experts on the phone to help me with this thing. Tell me a little bit about that. What is that? It's one thing to hear, oh, and we've got access to a network of CFOs. And it's another to be experiencing something that you could not possibly experience if you were just, and I also love, by the way, that the principal CFO was in the picture, that it's not a replacement for, it's a complement to, it's a strengthening of those existing skill sets. I bet that is transformational for your clients.
The principal CFO requested it. When I say that they know that this is the firm that we are, and it's our unique value prop. It's why we're different, but we shouldn't be. So they have hit a skill wall, or they need help, and they just tap into the thought collective. So how do we do it? So we set expectations with the client in the kickoff session. The CFO, every engagement has a kickoff session. We need to learn. And the way we do our kickoff sessions, we accelerate learning their business model. We have a revenue flywheel tool that we do, which is a business model tool where we diagnose their operations to their perception of their business model so we can quickly identify gaps in their processes. But what that does is, in that 2-hour session, many people say, I need 2 weeks for discovery. I need 1 month to onboard and learn, and then I'll give you a proposal. We do it in 2 hours, and it's part of our engagement. It's just like there. So the way we introduce the thought collective to our clients is, it's not just with the principal CFO. We have the market leader, managing director in that engagement. I am in that engagement. The administrative team is supporting it. And the first experience our clients have is with the team that's supporting the principal CFO. So they understand and know that. And that's how we do it. So they're not, in that meeting, they get an experience of, wow. And sometimes they say, can you ask your team for? And it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to even do with anything that has to do with the engagement. And the CFO says, sure. And we support them that way.
Do you find that in the collaborative space of the CFOs, it sounds like there's a sort of a resource driver, but is there also, sometimes friction can help the work. Well, I disagree about this, or tell me more about this, or what if we did this, or I want to debate this point. Is there a sensibility around sharpening ideas in this sort of collective around, I think we can do a better way if we did this, or I've learned something different than you did, and let's put those experiences together to do this thing?
It is, it's actually the definition of a thought collective is challenging the status quo and bringing in varied viewpoints and experiences from, whether it's from industries or whatnot. There have been so many times. I actually have a perfect example of this. We have a CFO who does not have nonprofit experience, and she was on a nonprofit engagement. And this just happened a couple of weeks ago. And so they were experiencing some challenges, and they went to the CFO and said, maybe you need more nonprofit experience. And she turned around and she said, she's from the telecommunications. And she said, you're talking about grants. You see that cell tower? That's like a grant. It gets funded. It needs to have a budget. It needs to have this. It needs to have that. So it's not nonprofit experience. The best practice experience is what you need here. And then we can hire a grant manager for the grants. So we do exactly the same thing. It is about not just having varied interests, but it's not friction. It's challenging. Have you considered using what this other industry uses for this industry that doesn't even think about it? Like, our approach is, we run nonprofits like for-profit businesses. When we're working with them, we're not gently saying our only purpose is good. We also have the purpose of continuing to survive so we can continue to do good, right? And that's when we have a nonprofit CFO and a for-profit CFO challenges certain aspects of running that business, and we make the nonprofit better.
What's interesting As you're sharing this, I'm thinking about, I've been spending a lot of time lately with the 14 points of management from W. Edwards Deming, and he has a point of sort of creating a culture of continuous learning, which is really easy to say, and not many organizations actually do it. And it feels like you've tapped into that, like you set expectations from the start, not just with CFOs, but with clients. Like, we are always trying to learn from each other, from experiences, from the environment around us, so that we can get better. Is that intentional, or is that a byproduct of the thought collective?
It's absolutely intentional. It is, I'm opening it up here because I want to share it. It's absolutely intentional. It's one of our core values, which is, our core values are to be impact driven, but relentless execution. You cannot just have relentless execution in your own knowledge base. I mean, then it's like, we want to do well, but at some point you need to go beyond your own knowledge. We have collaborative partnership, which is our foundational core value. Our core values aren't posters on a board somewhere. It's actually our operating guidelines. And when I say that they actually are attracted to and buy into this culture, it's part of our operating guidelines. And then the thought collective is absolutely built into masters of expertise. You cannot be masters of expertise because you went to college 30 years ago. You know, it has to do with that culture of continuous learning. And also, we don't want to have the client paying for that, our learning on the job.
Yes.
That's an old model, right? I'll build it. I'm building my product while this client's paying for it.
Right.
We don't do it that way. We have the expert already in there. And then if there's a way to do a exponential value add to it, it's really about expanding that knowledge base. We tap into the collective. And then, of course, we have endless pursuit of growth. It's embedded in our culture.
And when you're onboarding new partners and you're sharing those core values, endless pursuit of growth has so many meanings. Is that one that you connect directly to sort of this idea of growth doesn't just mean like the arrow moving up and to the right. It means as a professional, as a person. Yes?
It is. For your questions are, yes, it's about the thought collective. And now you're actually saying, how is the thought collective? What are the components of the thought collective? When a CFO joins us, we have a 5-week onboarding program, which we get together once a week and we share our culture, our flywheels, our tools, our team, our network, our clients with them. And very early on in that first onboarding, we say, okay, so we're also looking, you are joining us and we are joining you. So, and throughout the 5 weeks, we're actually looking for that. And we're looking for that engagement and spark in their eyes when they're learning something new. We're looking for that. We're looking for how they're asking us questions and collaborating on an idea and challenging us because we're saying, oh, look, we're great. And they're like, are you really? How do you use this? When they do that, they're a pro CFO. When they're not just taking it as a one-way lecture and saying, I don't know, I can't see how that would work in an engagement. Well, it's fluid. It's not linear. And when they ask that question, we know we are going to have a great addition to our thought collective. One of the things about the thought collective is that it creates real-time adaptation, right? So you don't have to learn. You don't have to say, if they say like it'll be on my gravestone, like strategic agility and how we get there. One of the ways now in today's world, you can go to ChatGPT, but ChatGPT can't add the experience to it. Right. It can add the knowledge to it, right? And a thought collective is the way to take AI and make it better because it's AI with real life, real time, meaningful experience.
Oh, what a fantastic analogy. It's a large learning model.
Yes.
And also an LEM, a large experience model married together into ProCFO AI or something.
ProCFO AI. We've actually named our ChatGPT. We call it HAL for the ones who know what that is.
Perfect. I hope that the icon has a little red light. Oh, that's great.
Yes. So that's the thought collective. And I think it's important for not just us as, part-time CFOs, but for clients who are looking at follow up on our last conversation, which is why we're doing these two back-to-back, CFO versus controller. Well, not every CFO is, we say not just a CFO, a pro CFO, because a pro CFO is a collective. And I think that's important to share.
Haleh Fardi is the Chief Visionary Officer at ProCFO Partners, dropping a pile of vision on us this morning. So good to be with you. Let's continue this conversation. I love the Thought Collective. I want to dig into every tiny nuance of it. I think it's fantastic for you and for the CFOs and certainly for clients. What a great sort of model to wrap our minds around and actually emulate as I often leave these conversations thinking, wow, what a great way of thinking about things. Thank you, Haleh. Appreciate you so much. Looking forward to our next conversation.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for watching, and a special thanks to our subscribers. Consider becoming one today. Visit ProCFOPartners.com for more strategies and ideas for financial management and growth to help you put your business's financial picture in context.